There are people who walk through life wearing strength like armor. They smile easily. They listen patiently. They show up on time. They help others. They handle pressure with calm voices and steady hands. From the outside, they look unshakable, reliable, mature, emotionally solid. They are often the ones others lean on, the ones who are trusted, the ones who are admired for handling everything so well. But behind closed doors, in quiet rooms and late-night hours, something very different happens. When no one is watching, they collapse. They cry silently. They stare at walls. They replay conversations in their heads. They feel exhausted in ways they cannot explain. Their chest feels heavy. Their thoughts spiral. And sometimes, they wonder why being strong feels so lonely. This is the psychology of people who stay strong in public but break down alone. It is not weakness. It is not attention-seeking. It is not exaggeration. It is a survival pattern. Most people who grow into this pattern did not choose it consciously. It forms slowly, quietly, over years of emotional experiences. Often, it begins in childhood or adolescence, in environments where emotional expression was unsafe, discouraged, or ignored. Some grew up in homes where emotions were treated as inconveniences. Stop crying. Be tough. Don't be dramatic. Others have it worse. So they learned that vulnerability brought discomfort. That expressing pain created tension. That being easy was safer than being honest. Others grew up in households where they had to become emotionally mature too early. Maybe they had to support a struggling parent. Maybe they were the responsible one. Maybe chaos made them step into the role of stability. So they learned, my job is to hold things together. And they did. Some learned this pattern through social experiences. Being teased for sensitivity. Being ignored when they asked for help. Being praised only when they were calm and capable. Being valued for usefulness rather than emotional authenticity. Over time, their nervous system adapted. It learned, hide distress. Perform strength. Stay composed. This adaptation worked. It protected them. It helped them survive emotionally. But survival patterns don't always disappear when danger is gone. They stay. In adulthood, these people often become high-functioning, emotionally exhausted individuals. They succeed. They maintain relationships. They appear stable. They handle crises. They are dependable. And inside, they are tired. One of the core psychological mechanisms here is emotional self-containment. They learn to hold everything inside. Sadness gets stored. Anger gets swallowed. Fear gets minimized. Disappointment gets rationalized. Instead of being expressed outwardly, emotions are compressed inward. Like air inside a sealed container. Eventually, pressure builds. And when they are finally alone, when the mask comes off, the container leaks. That's when breakdowns happen. Not because something suddenly went wrong, but because too much has been held for too long. Another key factor is hyperresponsibility. Many people in this pattern feel deeply responsible for other people's emotional states. They don't want to burden anyone. They don't want to worry others. They don't want to be too much. So they monitor themselves constantly. Is this okay to say? Will this make them uncomfortable? Do they need me to be strong right now? They become emotional caretakers. Even when no one asked them to. Even when it costs them. They learn to prioritize others' comfort over their own truth. So in public, they are regulated, supportive, controlled. In private, they finally allow themselves to feel. But by then, emotions are intense. Overwhelming. Messy. Because they were postponed. Another psychological layer is perfectionism. Not always in productivity, but in emotional performance. They feel pressure to be good at coping, to be mature, To be resilient. To not fall apart. They don't just want to survive. They want to survive gracefully. So they hide cracks. They hide confusion. They hide resentment. They hide loneliness. They believe, if I'm struggling, I'm failing. So they push harder. This creates a cycle. They perform strength. They get praised for it. They feel trapped by it. They suffer in silence. They perform more. Over time, their identity becomes tied to being the strong one. And letting go of that identity feels dangerous. Who am I if I'm not reliable? Who am I if I'm not stable? Who am I if I need help? So they keep going. Another important factor is emotional invalidation, often internalized. Even if no one is actively dismissing them anymore, they dismiss themselves. It's not that bad. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm overreacting. I should be grateful. They talk themselves out of their own pain. They become their own emotional gatekeepers. This keeps them functioning. But it also keeps them disconnected from their real needs. Many of these people struggle with asking for help. Not because they don't need it, but because needing feels uncomfortable. Needing feels like weakness. Needing feels risky. Needing feels unfamiliar. They are used to being the helper, not the one helped. So even when they are drowning, they say, "I'm fine." And mean, "Please don't look closer." In relationships, this pattern can be confusing. Partners, friends, and co-workers often don't realize how much is going on inside. They see competence. They don't see exhaustion. They see composure. They don't see emotional overload. So support doesn't arrive. Not because people don't care, but because the person never signals distress. And inside, they may start feeling invisible. I'm always there for everyone. Why does no one notice me? But the truth is, no one was invited in. This can lead to quiet resentment. Not explosive anger, but emotional withdrawal. Feeling unseen. Feeling unappreciated. Feeling alone even in company. Over time, this pattern affects mental health. Chronic emotional suppression is linked to anxiety, depression, burnout, and emotional numbness. The body keeps score. Tension in shoulders. Fatigue. Sleep problems. Brain fog. Low motivation. When emotions are not processed, they don't disappear. They become physical. They become psychological weight. Many people in this pattern eventually reach a breaking point. Sometimes it looks like sudden burnout. Sometimes like panic attacks. Sometimes like emotional numbness. Sometimes like withdrawal from relationships. People around them say, "You've always been so strong. What happened?" But nothing sudden happened. It accumulated. Healing begins when these individuals slowly learn something radical. Strength does not mean silence. Strength does not mean isolation. Strength does not mean self-erasure. True emotional strength includes the ability to be seen. It includes the ability to say, "I'm not okay." It includes the courage to let others support you. This is extremely hard for people who grew up equating vulnerability with danger. So the process must be gentle. It often starts with self-permission. I'm allowed to feel this. I'm allowed to need rest. I'm allowed to ask. I'm allowed to take up emotional space. Then comes learning emotional language. Many of these people are disconnected from their inner world. They know they feel bad or tired but not much else. So part of healing is learning to name emotions. Sad. Overwhelmed. Lonely. Disappointed. Scared. Resentful. Naming creates clarity. Clarity reduces chaos. Another step is practicing small vulnerability. Not dramatic confessions. Small truths. I'm having a hard day. I'm more tired than I look. I could use some support. Each small moment rewires the nervous system. It teaches vulnerability doesn't always lead to rejection. Sometimes it leads to connection. Learning boundaries is also essential. Many strong in public people overextend themselves. They say yes too often. They absorb others' emotions. They neglect recovery. So healing involves learning to say no without guilt, to rest without apology, to choose themselves without shame. And perhaps the most important step is developing self-compassion. Not self-pity. Self-understanding. Recognizing that this pattern formed for a reason. It helped you survive. It kept you safe. It made you capable. You don't need to hate it. You need to update it. You are not weak for breaking down alone. You are human for needing release. You are not dramatic for feeling deeply. You are honest with yourself in private. Now, the goal is learning to be honest in safe company too. To let trusted people see you. To let yourself be supported. To believe that your worth is not dependent on performance. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to deserve care. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You can be tired and valuable. You can be struggling and worthy. You can be unsure and still strong. The strongest people are not those who never fall apart. They are the ones who allow themselves to be held when they do. If you see yourself in this pattern, know this: you are not broken. You adapted. And now, you are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to put down some of the weight. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to be more than the strong one. You are allowed to be fully human. And that is not weakness. That is healing.